We continue to watch the situation unfolding in Mozambique after last month's disputed poll. I'm now joined by Mozambican journalist Tomas Queface, who joins us live now from the country. Tomas, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. A description really of what the situation looks like at this point in Mozambique, perhaps in Maputo. We are hearing that the unrest having settled. What does that look like? And of course, if this is a sign of protester fatigue.
Right now we are completing 1 month after the voting day, which took place on 9th of October. The opposition candidate Venancio Mondlane has called for a wave of protests in Mozambique. So he said that the protest will take place in 4 stages. 3 stages have passed. The last one took, it was really hard because there had been many confrontations, particularly in Maputo, between security forces and protests. The opposition candidate had called for more than 1 million people to protest in Maputo. Obviously, we didn't have that number, but it was there was many people protesting on the 7th of November in Maputo, and security forces were there to prevent any sort of protests. The situation right now is that the protests have stopped. The opposition candidate Venancio Mondlane said that on next Monday he will announce new wave of protests. We don't know exactly what form of the protest will take place because he acknowledged that the brutality of police in trying to repress the protests. So Venancio Mondlane announced that new forms of protest will take place and will have huge impact on the economy of Mozambique. He said he asked Mozambican people to prepare themselves in the next 3 days until Monday for the new measures. So right now, we are also expecting to hear the High Court, which we call Constitutional Council, to validate the elections. It's not yet clear when the Constitutional Council will validate the elections and announce the final results. We are expecting that this will take place on the 24th of November. The problem right now is that the Constitutional Council have to analyze 2 processes. First, all the appeals by opposition parties, mainly in regard to frauds and irregularities. And then after analyzes all this process, then the Constitutional Council will have to move to the second step, which is to validate the election. Well, this process is very complicated right now. Why? Because the results that had been passed from the National Election Commission to the Constitutional Council have so many discrepancies. Just to give you an example, in Mozambique, we had 3 elections on the 9th of October. The presidential elections, legislative elections, and the provincial assemblies. So each election, for example, in a polling station, we will have 400 electors or voters. So each voter gets 1 ballot paper. So the results that we got from the National Election Commission was that for the presidential election, we had 500 votes. And then for the legislative elections, there were 300 votes. And then for the provincial assembly, we had 200 votes. There is a discrepancy because each voter gets 1 ballot paper for each election. So the Constitutional Council have sent a letter to the National Commission of Elections to explain the discrepancy in numbers for each election. So the deadline for the National Election Commission to answer that question was yesterday, and the National Election Commission could not explain the discrepancies in numbers. That means one thing: there is many ballot stuffing in the 9th October election, and that will complicate the Constitutional Council in the validation process, because they cannot validate an election when there is so many discrepancies in terms of voting. We don't know exactly what are the implications of that, whether the Constitutional Council will order new elections in Mozambique. But the problem is, even if the Constitutional Council asks for new elections in Mozambique, nobody trusts on the National Election Commission in Mozambique. So the situation is like that. We are in a deep of crisis. The protests will definitely continue next week. You asked one question, whether the Mozambican people are very tired of the protest. Yes, people are a bit tired because they need to do their business. Most 80% of Mozambican people rely on informal works, and they need to get the daily basis to eat. The problem is, I mean, it's not a problem, but the thing is, many Mozambican people, even though they are facing all these hardships, they keep supporting Venancio Mondlane. And whenever Venancio Mondlane, who is the main opposition candidate right now, when he calls for new protests, everyone stops everything and joins the protest, whether they stay at home or go to the streets. And that means that the Mozambican government also have lost some sort of legitimacy and authority, because they cannot stop Venancio Mondlane from. I mean, the government cannot say to the people that they should go to work when Venancio Mondlane asks people to stay at home. So right now, Venancio Mondlane, he's running the country using his mobile phone in an unknown place, and calling for protests, calling for people not to work, and this is the situation right now.
Yeah.
The Mozambican government instead have been using police to repress, and also have been cutting internet in order to avoid these communications by the opposition party.
Yeah, and you've said quite a bit, but then of course there's the state of the economy as all of this is taking place, right? One of the things that we've been looking at from South Africa's end of things is trade between the two countries, the impact of even the closing of the Lebombo border post and how that impacts on the daily lives of Mozambicans.
Yes, that's what I explained. Right now, many people, special business people, are complaining the fact that they cannot get products from South Africa and then resell it in Mozambique. This has been also creating, forcing the spike of prices in Mozambique and making the cost of living very high. Obviously, that will create some crisis in Mozambique. It is creating huge impact. And that was also acknowledged by President Nyusi of Mozambique. But the new protests that have been called by Venancio Mondlane, which he will announce the new measures on Monday, he said that the impact on the economy is going to be harder than it is right now. So the government have got few options in order to revert that situation. The Lebombo border is the major border in Mozambique, between Mozambique and South Africa, and most of the products that come to Mozambique come from that border. With the border closed right now, the prices are spiking, and the shortage will definitely be felt in the next days.
Yeah, really concerning. But thank you so much for that update. Mozambican journalist Tomas Queface speaking to us this morning.